going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and a Merry Christmas to you all out there. The Premier League is back. The Premier League predictions are back. And me and Sim go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. And we have our scores on the doors as well, which is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. On the star man as well is once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again. And it is 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And the scores on the doors at the moment, I'm just trying to find the scores.
121.
It's 121 to 134 in my favour. So let's start off with the first predictions, and it's a big one. It's Brentford against Tottenham at the Brentford Community Stadium. I'm going 1-1 here. I think it's going to be a slow start to Spurs coming back. It's a very difficult game away at Brentford. I don't think there's going to be too many chances in this game, but I've gone for both teams to cancel each other out at 1-1.
Yeah, we have players coming back from the World Cup like Kane and Perisic, and obviously Conte says he's going to start on the bench. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think there's not going to be a lot of chances in it. I think it's going to be a game won probably on transitions and set pieces. And I'm hoping that with our set piece record, we're going to find that one moment. And I'm also hoping that will have enough to keep a clean sheet from this Brentford side, who don't score many goals, but they are a good team, so always tough to play against. But I've just gone for us to sneak it 1-0.
I hope you're right. I hope you are right. But let's move on to a London derby, another London derby in Crystal Palace against Fulham at Selhurst Park. Both of us going for 2-1 to Crystal Palace on the day. With Mitrovic being a doubt, I think that'll be a massive miss for Fulham. And I think at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace can capitalise and take all 3 points. They are a very strong team at home, and I expect them to go on and win this game. Albeit, though, if Mitrovic is playing, I think it'll be a much tougher game for Crystal Palace, and I think Fulham can nick something out of the game if that is the case. But I'm just going to side with 2-1 to Palace.
Yeah, I think with Palace's talent in the forward line, Zaha, Eze, Olise, Edouard as well has been scoring a couple goals recently. I think at home as well, I should have enough in the London derby to really take it to Fulham. Fulham are obviously a very difficult side to play against, very tough to beat, and they kind of do like playing a bit defensively, and that could suit them in this game. But I just think Palace's front line could be the difference here for two sides who like to set up with a lot of organisation. So I've just gone for 2-1 Palace.
Let's move on. Everton against Wolves at Goodison Park. I have gone for 0-0 here in this game. I think it's going to be Lopetegui's first game in charge at Wolves. Everton, on the flip side, finished the back end of last season in tragic form. They really were in terrible form. But I do expect them to pick up a little bit here at Goodison Park in front of their fans. First game back, I think the atmosphere should push Everton on to get something from this game. Wolves will provide a hard nut to crack, and I've just gone for 0-0 here.
Yeah, I was flying with 0-0, to be honest. I nearly did it, but I thought in Lopetegui's first game, the Wolves players are going to have that extra motivation to really impress their new manager. So I've just gone for them to sneak it. I think Lopetegui can be quite a pragmatic manager, but as well, I think he does have decent attacking structure in that pragmatism. I just think at the moment, with Everton still unlikely to have Calvert-Lewin in this game, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to score against this Wolves team. So I've just gone for Wolves to sneak it 1-0.
Let's move on. Leicester against Newcastle. Two of the form sides of the back end of the first part of the season. Leicester had an absolutely terrible start to the season, but they really did pick it up in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, not conceding many goals at all. And at the King Power, I think they can frustrate Newcastle, albeit Newcastle themselves have been on a really good run of form since the beginning of the start of the season, to be honest. But with these two teams matching up, I'm just going to side with 1-1. I think Leicester can nick something here.
Yeah, I think Maddison is apparently having a late fitness test, and if he doesn't make it, I struggle to see Leicester scoring in this game. I do think without him, they're losing a lot of offensive ability. Newcastle are keeping clean sheets for fun, albeit away from home it's a bit more difficult for them to keep clean sheets. But I do think their defensive record right now is very, very strong. And going forward, they've got a lot of forwards in very good form right now, and I think they'll get a goal. So I've just gone for a 1-0 into Newcastle.
All right, next up is Southampton against Brighton, a derby on the south coast. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Brighton. I've gone for 2-2 here. And in terms of why I've gone for 2-2, a matchup between these two teams usually does end up in a draw. 3 out of the last 5 games have seen a draw, albeit 2 of the other 5 games have seen a 2-1 away win. So you are there with the kind of form as well.
I went for 2-2. That's why I sent over.
Oh, you went to 2-2 as well?
Yeah, I did. That was a mistake.
So both of us have gone for 2-2, and I think that with Southampton, with their their manager's first game here in a South Coast derby, Brighton, I think they've kind of flattered to deceive a bit since De Zerbi has come in and Potter has left them. So I think it's going to be a really good game of football, but I can't really split the sides.
Yeah, their form was improving a bit before the World Cup. They beat Chelsea 4-1. They beat I'm talking about Brighton here. They beat Wolves 3-2 away from home, but they did end that period with a 2-1 home loss to Villa, albeit in the game which they probably are unlucky to lose in the end. I think this is Nathan Jones' second game, I believe, as Southampton manager. I think they lost 3-2 away to Liverpool in their or 3-1 away to Liverpool in their last game, and he's a bit more of an offensive manager, a bit more forward thinking. I think it's his first home game as well, and he'll want a positive result. So I do see a fairly open game with lots of chances, and that's why I've gone for a Desmond.
All right. Next up is Villa against Liverpool. Gone for opposite scorelines here. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Liverpool. I've gone for 2-1 to Aston Villa, surprisingly enough. And I think that Unai Emery has really enjoyed his beginning few games at Villa Park. He's had some really impressive results against Manchester United being one of them. Liverpool, they were impressive, to be honest, against Man City, albeit I think Man City did deserve the victory. But I think at Villa Park, with the crowd behind them, I really think an upset could be on the cards here.
Yeah, they have started really well under Emery. They had a really good result against Man United, blew them away in the opening exchanges, and ended up winning that one 3-1. Against Brighton, I felt they were a bit fortunate to come away with all 3 points, albeit once they did get the lead, they did kind of sharp shop and were fairly impressive defensively, but were probably fortunate to get the lead at the time. But 2 impressive results under Unai Emery to start his tenure. But I think Liverpool was starting to show a bit of form before the World Cup came about, and I think with their offensive ability, I see them getting a couple of moments. I don't know whether maybe Villa's luck might run out in this game, so I've gone for a 2-1 win for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all right, let's move on to Arsenal against West Ham. Sim's gone for 0-0. I've gone for 1-0 to Arsenal. I do think this is going to be a bit of a dull game, especially with Gabriel Jesus out. I think they're going to miss him desperately, but I do think Arsenal will just nick one, probably off someone's backside or an own goal or something, and nick the game 1-0.
Yeah, you know how West Ham are going to set up in this game. They're going to set up to frustrate Arsenal. They're not going to really look to go forward and score many goals. They'll try and get the players in the box from set pieces and stuff, but I think they're going to be very pragmatic, and they're very well organised under David Moyes, albeit this season hasn't really been a great season for them. They are on a run of 4 straight losses at the moment. Or 3 losses, 4 out of 5, 4 of the last 5 games in the Premier League losses. Arsenal obviously flying. I do think that injury to Jesus will negatively affect them going forward in terms of how free-flowing they are. And Nketiah is more of a poacher compared to Jesus, who likes to play a bit deeper and set up the plays and stuff like that. So I've gone for a bit of a struggle in the opening game back into the Premier League, and I've gone for a 0-0 draw.
All right, let's move over to Chelsea against Bournemouth. Sim's gone for 2-0 to Chelsea. I've gone for 1-1 in this game. And I think that Graham Potter's form at Chelsea is absolutely shocking at the moment. They're definitely going to want to start the campaign, or the restart of the campaign, as they mean to go on with 3 points. But I think Bournemouth will be there to frustrate them. I think they're doing really well, Bournemouth, as of late. They did get that 1-1 draw not that long ago against Newcastle at St James's Park, which proves that they can go to a bigger team and get the result. And I think that's going to happen this time at Stamford Bridge.
I don't. I think Potter will get a win to put Chelsea back on the right track. I'm not sure whether they'll be put back on the right track, but I think at home to Bournemouth, they should have enough quality to get over the line. Bournemouth had a decent start under Gary Neville, and they have now given him the permanent job. I believe this will be his first game as permanent manager, official permanent manager. But results had started to turn before the World Cup. They lost 4 of the last 5. They did win 3-0 at home to Everton just before the World Cup, but before then they were on a run of 4 straight losses, and I think results were going against them, and I don't think they're going to have enough quality against a Chelsea side of a chocolate block with it, albeit not playing very well at the moment, but maybe that break came at the right time for Chelsea, and I think that will help them along the way. So I've gone for a 2-0 win in this one. Not necessarily mean they're just going to turn their form around totally, though.
Next up, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford. Both of us going for Manchester United wins, but I'm going for 3-1. Sim's going for 3-0. And I think it will be a bit of a routine victory for Manchester United. They were looking pretty good just before the break, and I think this will carry on here. I think Forest as well. They did pick up a little bit before the break, but still nowhere near good enough, I think, to come to Old Trafford and take all 3 points or even a point.
Yeah, and Man United were definitely getting their act together a bit just before the break. And obviously Rashford seems to be in great form, had a good World Cup when he was on the pitch, followed that up with a brilliant goal in midweek against Burnley. And I think they're going to be in confident mood, Man United, at home to Nottingham Forest. Forest will try and nick something, and they showed against Liverpool that they can be pragmatic and they can defend when they're concentrating. But I just feel Man United at home, with the ball players like Bruno and Eriksen, they'll be able to open up this Forest side. And once they get a goal, I think the chances will flow. So I've gone for 3-0.
All right, and last but not least, Leeds against Manchester City at Ellen Road. Both of us going for 3-1 to Manchester City. And it's going to be a really good game, this one. I think Leeds will go for it, as they always do. And Man City will pick them off like they always do. And Erling Haaland back in the goals on last night in the Carabao Cup. It took him a whole 9 minutes to get back in the goal-scoring form.
Bit of a drought there.
Yeah, a 9-minute drought there for Erling Haaland. But look, I think that he's going to be in the goals. De Bruyne looked back on it as well after his poor showing in the World Cup. And I think it's going to be a comprehensive victory for Manchester City.
Yeah, I agree. Before the break, Leeds were actually on a run of some decent displays, beating Liverpool at Anfield. They then beat Bournemouth 4-3 at home, and then lost 4-3 to Tottenham in a very entertaining game. So they've definitely been entertaining of late. And I can see a game full of chances in this one, but the quality Man City have, I can't see Leeds holding them out. I do see them getting a goal, though, with how they play, and especially the form of the players like Rodrigo. So I do see Leeds getting a goal, but City should have too much.
All right, and let's move on to the star men. All right, I've gone for Shea Adams. 4 goals, 1 assist this season. Southampton are at home to Brighton. I've picked the score to be 2-2 in that game, so I think Shea Adams can be quite central, whether it be assists or goals in the game. So I've gone for Shea Adams.
I've gone for Marcus Rashford at home to Nottingham Forest, in good form, looking confident. And yeah, home to Forest, so there should be chances for him, and I backed him to continue his goal scoring form.
All right, well, let's hope this week's Predict the Prem is a bit better than my World Cup predictions, but that's your predictions on Predict the Prem this week. Let me know your predictions in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is going to come out on top between me and Sim in the comment section below, and let me know your star man as well. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.